Hello everybody, at the time of recording it is Blenduary the 2nd, and the word for today is crystal. I decided what I would do based on videos that I had seen where you see people digging up crystals sticking out of the dirt and such like that. I thought I would try to make something like that today. I'll start with just a cylinder. We'll make this a fan. That way I can pull a little vertex. I might want to make that shape a little bit more irregular. Let's pull this down. Yeah, just kind of a cool crystalline shape. Let's pull over our geometry nodes. And now the reason I want to use geometry nodes is I want to kind of like chip some corners and like have some faces that look kind of rough and scratched up. I'll boolean this somehow. I'll save this over here. Add a subdivision surface modifier, and this will kind of give us a basis for like where the inset of the edges, so like the corners will be kind of chipped off. For instance, on points, we'll need that later, but right now I need points on faces. I'm going to add a grid, and this will be that. You can get the rotation. Actually, how big is this crystal in the first place? That's like, oh my goodness, that's a 3-meter crystal to be maybe like 30 centimeters. Bring up the density since it's so small. I could add like a displacement map to the plane itself, but I want each plane to be different. So I'm going to apply it to all of them. Set position, noise texture, and let me save this again just because I'm paranoid my computer will crash. My computer barely made it through yesterday's word of the day. Let's put the color in there. Oh, I need to realize instances, and already I can see that that's not quite enough resolution, so I'll do a subdivide mesh, and that way I just have one little number to change. Actually, well, you know what, let me keep the noise texture, but I'll just use it to disrupt the Voronoi texture. Take the distance and plug that into the, oh, this actually needs to be multiplied, so I don't know if I need this. Distance to edge, take the randomness down a little bit, and then what I'll do, add a position, add here, and then I'll plug the color of the noise texture into there, but then I will use a mix node set to vector so we can control exactly how much it disrupts. Kind of looks like crumpled paper, which I guess that is kind of what I'm going for. Take our actual geometry again, do a Boolean mesh. Actually, those planes are way too big, aren't they? Set shade smooth. Let's see what happens when we plug all of this into the Boolean. I think what I need to do, add a cube instead. Set position, plug this into there. And the cubes are going to be centered, but 0.25. Mute this. I guess I'll mute both of them, and let me set X and Y. Yeah, that way we don't have a bunch of resolution this back here. Plug that into the Boolean. Yeah. See, we have some kind of little edges chipped off here. That's precisely what I want. Let me just try to turn up the resolution one more time and see if that makes my computer go really slow. It looks like it's gonna be kind of slow if I do that. The resolution to be higher for the render is viewport, and we'll do a switch between one integer and another. So if it is viewport, then we'll have 3, but if it's in render, maybe we'll want it to be like 4. So now what I want to do is create, I guess you could call it a cliff, subdivide this a few times, rotate along the y-axis. Let's have this come out for a little bit like the ground, like the floor, and what I want to do, and that's going to be like where our crystal is setting, like it's kind of exposed on a ledge a little bit, and then we'll add a subdivision surface to that, and then we'll take our little crystal and we'll kind of have it sticking out of the, make this whole thing a little smaller. And let's also give this a random rotation so it's not like just perfectly, I could just add a displacement modifier, but I want to do it in geometry nodes because that gives me more control. Set position again. I need to make an asset for this that's like just a little displacement node, but I haven't gotten around to that. So let's do multiply, and let's plug the color into here. Take normalize off. Let's do scale. Turn this bump down a great deal. Detail up to like 5, and I'm going to save this. It's still too much, however, so let's do another little mix node. Change this to vector. Plug this into the bottom. Make that 0, and now it's not plugged in. Turn the roughness down so we get a bit more of that initial bump. Yeah, and let me turn the roughness off, get the whole thing kind of as bumpy as I want it to be. And then now if I turn the roughness up, we can bring some of that detail back. Nice, I think that's cool. So now, I don't know if I want this to be like a dark scene at night, and like the miners or whatever you call them, like are using their flashlight. So if I want to just use a spotlight, or if I want to have it be during the day with the sun shining on it, I think that looks a little more cool. I already have a sky background with a sun, so all this is a matter of is moving the sun in a good position. Oh, that angle looks kind of cool with the sun kind of barely hitting it. Adds a lot of interest. We just need to add materials. I think I'm going to do the dirt first, and I'm going to need a set material node. I should know. I wish that, well, I don't know, maybe it won't need a set material node because it's the same mesh. We'll see if that actually changes the color. Yeah, okay, it does. Whatever material I make for the dirt, I want to actually put it in a group so that I can reuse it on the crystal, because I want to make the crystal look like it has some kind of dirt smudged all over it. Turn the roughness up and also the diffuse roughness so it actually looks like dirt. Add a bump map, plug this factor into the height there. Actually, I need to make sure that this is using the object texture coordinates so it's not stretching the texture. Let's start with a centimeter. I would like to do a few other things. You know what? I'm going to duplicate this noise texture. I'll turn the detail back down to like 2, but I'm going to use a little trick that I often use because things look more realistic if you have more chaos, not just detail, because like we have a lot of detail here now that we added this bump map, but we need to have chaos in that detail so there's not like the same kind of detail everywhere. A little trick I have developed, I've made a little node for myself, separate elements. All you need is a vector or a color, as long as it has 3, XYZ or RGB, and you can get a whole lot more stuff out of it. So like I can plug this into like the roughness. That way like different parts of the texture will have different roughnesses, except I do want it to be mostly like 0.7. So let me use a power. 0.5 might do that. It'll kind of bring back some of our white. And I'm only using red, green, and blue in this case, but I'll have this node here just in case I want to have more than just 3 things, although I don't think I'm going to. But so let's say we want the detail to be as little as 4 in some places and maybe as much as like 6 in some other places. And I don't know, maybe it won't do much, but it might add some kind of variety. I think I'm going to leave it like that for now. Maybe I'll add some final touches like some other like slightly different colored rocks, tiny little crystal particles. I might do that later. But for now, I'm going to take all of this and create a group out of it. But I want to be able to control the bump map from the crystal material when I add this group to that. So let me find a way to math node set to multiply. You know what? Maybe I want this to be add instead. That way I can make the dirt kind of lumpy and bumpy and stuff. I don't know. So now let's get to the fun part, which is the crystal itself. I want this to be clear. I have made my own shader for clear stuff like glass and all that because I had some theories about how light should interact inside of clear material. So I made my own. So let's just plug that in, change the sun around and see if that gets some more light in it. Let's do a mix shader, add another noise, this factor into the mix, except we don't want that much dirt. So let's turn this up, Control T, plug object into that as always. That crystal is still rather dark though. I think something that we can do to fix that is something that I was planning on doing anyway. So let's add a volume scatter. Oh, what should this be set to? Do we have these new settings here? Ice is a crystal as well. And if you look at a little block of ice, sometimes there's little white clouds inside of that. And that's kind of the look I'm going for with this as well, because the references I looked up kind of had something similar. And see, that's the thing, this clearness shader that I made, it actually allows us, oh, at least it did. At least it used to. Anyway, it allows us to have like a volume inside of it and you can still see it, except you kind of can't because it's too dark. Try this one again. Let's try the default one. I'll just use the default for now and I'll plug my shader back in again. And I believe, yeah. So see, if we use the glass, like, let me just add a glass shader and let me show you. Then see, the inside of it becomes black. It blocks light from entering into it and affecting the volumetric stuff that we have going on. But mine actually allows that. And that was actually a side effect. That wasn't even the point of me making this. I just wanted to make this more accurate, but it had that side effect. And at one point it also made caustics easier to render too. We're going to use another noise texture, plug this into the density and into the density. And I think we'll just use a map range node. Let's not have it be that cloudy on the inside. Let's just have some little milky parts in there. All right, let's bring this back down to 0.4 and let's set this to like 2 like it was. That looks good enough. And now we have some kind of cloudy things. Is this it? Are we basically done? I mean, maybe. Let me turn the size down to like 15. Turn the detail up to like 6. Make it kind of a yellow. Let's turn the density up to like 30. Okay, that's too yellow. Let me add some distortion to that. That works. Yeah, now we kind of get some cool kind of cloudy stuff happening on the inside of that crystal, I guess. Add another noise. We'll use the normal texture coordinates. And what this should do is kind of give us a different set of textures on every face. And the distortion up to like 1, perhaps. Yeah. See, we're getting some kind of like scratchy looking stuff going on. So let me use that same trick. Let's do a separate elements node. We'll add a bump map. Let's plug this into the height and multiply the normals and plug that into there. We should do instead is use a Voronoi texture. That's fine. I think that'll work, and see what that looks like. And I think finally the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this texture to kind of add to the bump map. Plug this in here, do a multiply on this, and that way it kind of looks like the dirt is like built up in those little smudges or whatever. What I might want to do, bevel shader node, plug that into the normal IVBR blue from from our other thing to the radius. However, it will need to be turned down quite a bit. And that might sort of be it. Maybe it's not too remarkable, but it's something. It's something. I did something. I can at least say that. You're probably seeing the final results right now, so that's what it looks like, and I'm going to post that on my Instagram because that's the goal for Blinduary. If you want to use some of the nodes and assets that I have in this file, you can download it on Patreon if you are a paid member. And I would also appreciate that because it'll help me save up so that I can have a faster computer and maybe make these videos my living someday. Whatever the case, you are awesome. I can't wait to see what you do for Blinduary, and I hope you learned something or were entertained somehow by today's video. And now let's see the bloopers, which I think there are bloopers. You know, I am going to turn those subdivisions down again because I know it's going to be slow. I just knew it. I need an S? No? Oh, of. I didn't say points of faces. What is the point of faces anyway? It's not even in there. Is it? Hey, why are we not seeing anything? Oh, because it's a tiny... Oh, yeah, that's plenty. Pixels and see... Oh, yes, I accidentally pressed save, but I haven't saved it yet, so now it's time to save it. Computer, please don't crash on me. I'm frozen. Hello? Oh, come on, how long is it going to take you? Okay, I guess that wasn't the option to do because now my computer is kind of frozen. Well, at least Blender is frozen. I hope the recording looks like it's, well, kind of choppy. Might have to crash Blender myself if it's not going to. It's a good thing I saved it. If you're gonna crash, just crash. Get it over with. Now see, this is the thing that annoys me the most. You have this little button that comes up here, it says close program, and it proceeds to try to do something other than closing the program. If I... Alright, let's open Blender again. Alright, now let's open up our crystal project and let's bring the window over. Or it should be, I got a little lightheaded. Maybe I'm getting ready to crash too. Excuse me. And we'll do, let's see where, whoa, I didn't mean to make a group out of that. Poor little node. Don't need that in a group. And I need something to drink. I shall be right back as I get some water. See, I didn't pause the recording, right? I don't think I did. I think it is still playing. And let's add an noise texture and noise texture. A noise texture. Actually, that's how the word, let's see, what is it? The word atter? Is that like a snake, a word for a snake, an atter? It's actually natter, but people called it an atter, and then the in stuck instead of a natter. It became an atter. English is funny, and I'm a nerd for English sometimes, sort of, not really, I kind of hate English, but, noise. You're getting distracted here. What about the I don't actually know how that's pronounced. I never, looked at a lacunarity? Lisunarity? I don't know. And we'll bring our dirt material in, so let's add our dirt. Dirt? Where are you, dirt? I did call it dirt, didn't I? Oh, I didn't name it. DIRT. Is this even doing anything? Maybe not. Let's try 0.5. Ah, whoa! Well, how did that menu show up over there? So let's set this to like 30 or something. Oops, not the detail, the scale. Rayleigh, we don't want Rayleigh. Sorry, Rayleigh. It's nothing personal. Yeah. Is this even working now? Oh, well, it should be clamped. Why is this not even working now? Oh, because I set that to add. I need to set it to multiply. Oh, I'm getting a little out of breath. Get rid of this one, and I will... what am I doing? I guess it is basically done. The only thing that I wanted to do was add some other little features that aren't really important, except for a nerd like me. My own little node. My own little node. And now, what we'll do is we'll add a bump up.
Gonna come up on a bump.
And what happened? Oh, I'm using the wrong one. I'm using the wrong one. Yeah, I don't need this anymore because the shadow works and I have to sneeze. I think. So let's bring up the contrast and let's make the midpoint. I don't know if it should go lower or higher. I forget how my own node even works. Let's make that 0.7. I don't even know the name of my own node. Sorry, little node. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.